Hello, I'm Sister Peg, the Executive Director of Sojourner Truth House. I have a staff member who wants to share her story, but is afraid she'll come across as an angry black woman and further perpetuate that crazy stereotype that is out there. And so I volunteered to tell her story in her words as I read her story when she sent it to me. It's a powerful story, and I'd ask you to listen. So, my staff member says, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and the high school I attended offered programs to help prepare you for a career, college, or both, and I took full advantage of them. I was raised to be the absolute best I could be, despite what people expected of me, because I was female and black. The first time I experienced racism at work was at age 20. I was working for a well-known clothing retailer, and I had worked for the company for 3 years when I expressed my interest in becoming a supervisor. Up until this moment, I was told often how well I was doing in the training role I was given for new cashiers. I was told I was thorough, patient, kind, understanding, and a good listener. Many of the qualities you would want in a leader. Well, my store manager decided that it would be a good idea to make it a competition to see who would become a supervisor next. So she chose another young man who was white and said, okay, I'll give you both opportunities to be acting supervisor for a few shifts, and at the end of Christmas season, one of you will be promoted. Now, the young man had never worked retail before. In fact, it was his first job. He also had only worked for the company for a few months. This competition came with no training, just a clipboard and a walkie-talkie. During my shifts, my team would have the highest sales conversions, which was the primary focus of the competition. And that is, how many customers that come through the door can you turn into an actual sale? So eventually, there was supposedly an employee vote on who should be the next supervisor between the two of us, although none of the people I knew were asked to vote. Of course, this other guy was promoted over me. When I asked the manager why, she told me that it was just not my time. Maybe I'd be ready in 6 months. I watched more and more men and women with less experience and knowledge of the job get promoted one after another, 3 to be exact, and I was still waiting to be a supervisor. I felt defeated and hurt, disrespected. I felt like I was doing the dance they wanted me to, but merely for their amusement. Obviously, I moved on from this job because it was not an environment I wanted to endure anymore. At another job, I worked at a hotel, and I had a white manager who constantly told me that I did a great job for a black person. He said it like it was socially acceptable, and I guess in his world it probably was. I remember doing a presentation for a meeting once, and when it was over, he said, I never expected this from someone like you. And I remember asking him what that meant. And he said, most black people cannot put together a basic speech, let alone a full presentation. I'm just surprised is all. Human Resources knew he spoke this way, and he was friends with the HR director, so blowing the whistle, as they say, was not really an option for me. It wasn't that long ago, but it just wasn't acceptable to make claims like this against your employee. Again, I felt demeaned, belittled, disrespected, hurt that someone could hate me so much because of the color of my skin. I left that job. There are many forces working against me that I cannot control. I am a woman, I am black, and I'm raising a black son in America where the color of our skin is a threat to some people. The killing of George Floyd became a turning point in this country where finally people of color felt like we have had enough and must speak out against these injustices. And yes, we say Black Lives Matter. And we say it because, while in fact all lives matter, or at least they should, But until black and brown lives matter, all lives cannot matter because all encompasses all without exception. As a black woman working predominantly in white organizations, I have had to work extremely hard just to prove I was worthy to sit in the same room with them or draw a check from the same employer. It is not fair or right that the color of my skin makes me a threat to someone, or that it makes me any less worthy to have the things that they have. As a black mother, it infuriates me and hurts so bad that I must have a conversation with my black son about how to behave when approached or stopped by the police, how he cannot reach into his pockets for anything. He cannot hold his cell phone in his hand for fear that a pack of Skittles and a can of pop can be used as a reason for someone to shoot him. That he cannot walk into any establishment with a hoodie on his head because someone will mistake him for a threat, all because of the color of his skin. To an 11-year-old, this can be confusing, and I shouldn't have to explain it at all, but this is where we are. My husband and I have raised him to notice the differences in others, but not to dislike them for those differences, but instead to learn from and about them. So I would like to encourage everyone to find someone who does not look like you and have a conversation with them. You just might find that you have more in common than you ever thought. Thank you.